I'm Malcolm Nance, and welcome to the Sunday morning edition of Black Man Spy. Obviously, the strip club hasn't closed. It's open this morning. I just decided to take my hoodie off because it's going to be 90 degrees here. That's almost 30 degrees Celsius in upstate New York today. New York City is going to be sweltering, so I ain't going nowhere near the city. Right? It's going to be crazy. There's incredible amounts of heat hitting the East Coast of the United States. I'm with it. Hey, I'm in my running shorts. I got a great series of runs in yesterday and 60, 70-degree weather. Now it's going to be double that. So you know what that means, Waj? Gardening. Somebody goes, listen to this comment. Mary Seven says, we paid subscribers do get a little extra Malcolm. Oh, yeah, get them. I'm going to have to put up what is it, a buy me a coffee, all right, for any further stripping activity that I do. I'm gonna have to see like, what is it, like OnlyFans, right? Don't they have like a little ding when somebody drops the coffee? And Beth G's like, what did I miss? You didn't miss anything, just a little, my shirt came up while I took my hoodie off. The funny thing is, Wajeeh, I gotta tell you something. I have these guys out there, these detractors. Back when I was at MSNBC, um, and my wife was I was caregiver to my late wife. I put on weight when I was at MSNBC, but when I went to the Ukrainian war, that went right off of me. All right. I mean, I had to be running every day. We had to be lifting every day, moving lots of ammunition and stupid shit. And I have these guys out there who are like, you're this giant, fat, obese dude. Because I made a joke about, what is it, Trump's his that human thumb that works for him, Chung, and that guy's got to be 350 pounds. I mean, a sure thumb. I mean, his whole head goes like this from his top of his head to his shoulders. It's like, and he's he's really fat. I mean, this guy is beyond morbidly obese. He makes Trump look a little skinny, which is why Trump hired him, right? So this guy, somebody was out there goes, I made a joke about him. They were like, you're a fat ass liberal. And it's like, bitch, I don't know who you are, but I can challenge you right now. Stephen Chung, that's what somebody says. I can challenge you right now. Let's go. Let's hit the road. Let's hit the trail. Standing start, no stretching. Let's just go out here and let's bang out 5 kilometers. And let's just see if you can, you can keep up. I ain't the fastest guy in the world. All right. But I know how far I got to run so that artillery and drones can't kill me. So, but these guys insist that I'm like this giant fat elephant, and I just find it hilarious. You know, I mean, it's weird, weird way that MAGA guys will be like these huge fat dudes, and they try to body shame you. And it's like, body shame me? Oh, I got something for you. So anyway, I just thought you'd find that funny. There was a little strip show that went on earlier, and maybe about 200 people got a touch of it. But and Wad's got me walking in. I saw you looking at my legs, bro. That's all right.
I was like, oh shit. Last time I was like, is that underwear or is that shorts?
No,
I didn't.
right. That's my full split running shorts. Yeah. And the funny thing is, in the Navy, the Army calls them Ranger panties. Because in the Rangers, you wear running shorts all the time, right? And when I was at SEER school in Coronado, of course, our Master Chief was a SEAL. So it's just like T-shirts and running shorts and sneakers. That was our uniform. And even now, when it gets hot here, that's my uniform. When I lived in Abu Dhabi, got into a lot of trouble because first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. was as cool as it was going to get, right? Which is about 80 degrees. And I would go out and go for a run in my little Ranger panties, my running shorts. Finally, somebody cued me in that they actually have these like short shorts that are they're like go to the knee. And that's what the Emiratis, by the way, here's some culture. They will not run in anything except Adidas track pants, right?
Ah,
All the way down to the socks. And if they're
yes.
Wahhabi, they stick their socks into their track pants into the socks.
Well, it has to do a lot with modesty. You must cover yourself from your belly button to your knees if you're a man, and if you're a woman, from head to toe. Uh, that was my biggest issue when I came to gyms in the U.S. when I first I was a child.
You-
Everyone was looking at me sideways. Was this guy wearing a tracksuit in the gym? And I'm like, what's with you guys wearing so many shorts in the gym?
well, somebody asked if I run marathons. No, I don't run marathons. I run for two reasons or three reasons: to escape drones and artillery, and to maintain heart fitness. Right. So I and I'm poor. I'll be 65 this year, and in theory, my maximum heart rate should be 154 beats per minute, and I exceed that regularly. Alarming. I'm in the 160s, high low 170s at my maximum heart rate, which means I have a younger heart than others. But I will keel over from all the bullshit that we get from the White House. I know we're joshing around. This is our light banter. All right, Michael. Know you got a little shot of the leg there. So anyway, what do we got? What is that mug you're drinking from, Waj?
The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh.
U.S. Embassy in Riyadh. Well, in light of today, I bought a second mug for regular coffee. I drank it. This is in honor of the visit we had yesterday from the New York State Police canine unit that pulled up behind my car during the show. And I was like, somebody rolling me? What's going on here? Turns out that the cop pulled over because he saw my classic Land Rover Defender, my 1984 Land Rover Defender, from the road, and came all the way around because it's a one-way street. So if the cop really came from my house, he'd just come right up the one-way road. Went all the way around legally and pulled up behind it and was taking photographs of my truck, which is for sale. So, he was looking at it like, yeah, that's a sexy man mobile, right? Adventure car, roll cage, snorkel, winches. We even built it's got a modern stereo inside. We even built a glove compartment because those trucks never had glove compartments. Silly little things, but it's a sweet ride. Bought it in Fujairah. And this one has some kilometers on it. I think it has 81,000 kilometers on it. But my truck, oh, by the way, that truck's called the Gopher because you have to name your Land Rover Defender. So the Gopher, named after the dancing gopher from Caddyshack. It's because it's brown. It's brown and cream colored. And my truck is green and white. And that truck we got was also a gardener's vehicle in one of the palaces. And they put it into 25-year covered storage and they sold it. It had 5,100 kilometers, 3,000 miles on it when I bought it. And we've renovated the entire truck, roll cage, roof rack, tent, snorkel, lifted, everything. And its name is Bad Wolf. It's named after a line from Doctor Who. So the Bad Wolf is coming. My cup today is, I was going to use my New York State Police cup because I was a trainer for New York State Police and counterterrorism. But today, in honor of something we're going to talk about, I have my Ethiopian Airlines cup. Obviously, somebody stole it from Ethiopian Airlines first class back when they used really nice cups. And it ended up in somebody's antique shop, and my wife bought it for me. So we are going to talk about Ethiopia, Egypt, and Eritrea today. So I bought some mappage with us as well. It's a Sunday. It's a slow news day. We're just going to get started. Hopefully we can get done by the 45 minutes after the hour. I have to do Mario Noir Falls today. So let's take a look at oil. Oil still high. West Texas Intermediate is up $4.20 to $105.42. Brent North Sea crude is up $3.50 to 109.26. Murban crude is up 108. Thank you, Wajeeh.
Yep, you
So
got
what
it.
that tells us is whatever Trump said and expected to have happen last week in China is now no longer impacting the markets. People are now pricing oil up, not down. So you know how he usually did it. He would just price it so that the oil market would go up on the weekend, and then on Sunday or Monday he would say something like, "Peace is going to be signed tomorrow," and the oil market would crash, and they would manipulate it. That is not happening here. The market has clearly decided that it now knows that Trump lies, that physical oil is now disappearing. So you can't lie your way out of saying we have plenty of oil. And the world is well aware of all of that. So that is why you have West Texas Intermediate at 105. And that's starting to near the highs. I think the high for West Texas Intermediate was 110, 111. Let's check that out while we have this discussion. But in the news, I'm going
109.
to first. Yes, go ahead.
109. 109, to 110.
That was its highest, 110 to 110.
Yes.
Yeah,
Friday.
I suspect it is going to break that on Monday, because it doesn't look like anyone is talking any common sense into the White House whatsoever. As far as they're concerned, nothing is going on. There is no war. Everything's awesome. And, things are going so smoothly. The Strait of Hormuz does not need to open at all. And that leads us to the first significant activity of the day. Let me bring that up. Here it is. Oh, there's a lot of craziness going on out there, Watch.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
Apparently,
there's a
this,
lot of Air Force movement at the moment. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
don't worry about Air Force movement. When we're deployed overseas, there's easily 10, 12, 20 flights scheduled per day going to Europe in order to rotate materials out there. If there were 300 aircraft simultaneously flying from the United States, that would be something to worry about. So, this morning, Donald Trump put out this message. Actually, it turns out it was late yesterday. He decided to put out this Twitter video of Donald Trump looking sexy, standing in front of an admiral who, if I could point out to you, that admiral is wearing the Army Good Conduct Medal. And he's an astronaut. Actually, I think he's a flight surgeon. Yeah, he's a flight surgeon, and that looks like submarine dolphins. So anyway, it doesn't matter. It's confused. The Iranians are going to have to worry about it because it's the calm before the storm. And they're about to get their ass kicked by the U.S. Navy driving this Dvorak class Israeli patrol boat, an Arleigh Burke class U.S. destroyer, another one over here. But these U.S. Navy ships are flying Iranian flags on them. Watch, look. They're flying Iranian flags on the U.S. ships behind Trump. So whoever developed this got
Wasn't even paying
Trump.
attention before posting it.
Trump posted this. Yeah, yeah. Calm before the storm, before the Iranian Navy comes and gets you. All four ships are flying Persian flags behind Trump. If this is supposed to calm markets, I don't get it. But he's just like, yeah, I'm coming to get ya. Well, my favorite part is how every time and this is from Brian Krasenstein, and his quote was, "I'm sure the stock market, oil market, and bond market are going to love this one when they open up tomorrow morning." So here's Trump threatening major naval action in the Strait of Hormuz. And what the Israelis claim, according to Israel Channel 12, will be increased or renewed U.S. action against the Iranians that will happen in the next few days. We talked about that a few days ago, that the Israeli forces were posturing in advance of a U.S. attack. Then again, the Israelis could throw an attack that will force the U.S. to carry out an attack. That's all there is to it. But it ain't going to happen with Donald Trump with his Commander in Chief t shirt. All right. My favorite part is this comment. Funny how Trump loses 150 pounds in his MAGA memes. So to correct that, somebody wrote, "It's so MAGA." To correct that, somebody put a more accurate rendition of it.
Hey.
A more accurate rendition of it, showing Trump at his actual 350 pounds, not the super svelte Donald Trump. Like he's like a power lifter in this. He has no stomach. His pants are still a little high, but we all know Donald Trump wears size 52. Okay. I'm a 34 and it don't hang up. I don't have to put my belt over my belly button with to encompass my diapers because I don't wear those things. But this is a much more accurate. I also like how the guy has the what do they call it? The vajayjay neck, and has all of the spots on his arms and his neck. So people are fast, man. I'll tell you, AI can crank this out in a minute. But while we are laughing at this, this is Trump once again threatening war in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, why is this significant, Malcolm? And why are you taking up so much of our time? Simple, because it appears the White House does not want an off ramp from what's happening here. Either it's a massive bluff and Trump is sweating bullets every day, or it's not a massive bluff, and they are probably coordinating with Israel to restart the war. And I don't know how they could think that this would be good for the global economy. Whereas we depicted yesterday, he does not care about the global
Exactly.
economy.
I was
He
just
doesn't
about to
care
say
about
this, that he does not care about the global economy because he said that himself. He said even something more serious. He does not care about uh, the everyday American pocket. That's what he said before he boarded the plane, before he went to China. Uh,
Yeah.
the situation is dire. He understands the consequences from this economy at this point, but
Mm.
all the posturing shows that they are all playing a game of chicken. And I said this since day one. And you said Iran is willing to play a game of chicken with the United States, and I said yes. Iran is willing to play a game of chicken with the United States, and the United States is doing the same thing. And what does that mean? That means everyone is going to be escalating a little more, a little more, a little more until something stupid happens. And what
Mhm.
we are seeing is that the Israelis have disrespected or not respected at all any ceasefire in the southern Lebanon. The
Oh,
Iranians just recently attacked a nuclear plant in the
keep your
United Arab
shirt
Emirates.
on. Significant activities.
Maybe.
That's all listed under significant activities. So
All I'm
that
trying to
being the
say is
case,
there's no one respecting the ceasefire, and everyone is playing a game of chicken, which tells me that the war is imminent. War is
yeah,
imminent.
well, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I don't think that I mentioned it this morning. Right now, there is a thread on Substack called US Iran Warcast. Today is day 81, by the way. We are on the march to the 90-day mark. And you can post your questions there. I see some of them coming up in the thread down below. And there you go. You can post your questions there. And that way it's easier for me to read them. I have been reading your little commentary down there. There's some pretty funny things. The guy just mentioned Robert Pape's escalation trap. Urban Hermit did that. We've been mentioning Pape's escalation trap practically every day, and that Trump is stuck in that trap, and that he is going to have to suddenly deal with the fact that, and we showed that chart. Let me see if I can find that image right now. Pape's escalation trap chart. I think we showed it a week ago, that there were only two ways for Trump to get out of this. I don't have it right here. I think it might be on my phone, but let me bring that up. There's only two ways for Trump to get out of this: ground war, or suffer a humiliation or what he perceives to be a victory in negotiations. And notice I said perceives to be. It does not at all have to be there. Somebody says Wajeeh Ali had him on recently. I'm going to see if I can get him on the Black Man Spy podcast, because I think it's important for us to see this, to hear from Professor Pape himself. This guy, he's everywhere. He's on television all the time. He's one of the air war doctrine strategists that developed the entire anti-Iranian nuclear missile campaign. And he had been working with the Air Force and the armed forces for over 25 years on this attack, right? Midnight Hammer, and then what would come after it. And he says that there is a pathway in and out of this that Trump is not paying attention to, and that he is trapped now in what he calls the escalation trap. That there's no way back. There's only obliquely or forward. And it only gets worse for everybody. Let me see. I think I have the picture here of the trap lines. We went over this several times. So let me see if I can find it while we're talking here. Okay, second significant activity du jour. It's not just that the United States is apparently listening to Israel in terms of restarting the war. I have spoken about this many times. I was asked in an emergency podcast to come on Mario Nofal's podcast here this morning, because even though he lives in Dubai, he did not know about this. This is the Baraka nuclear power plant. Four reactors. This is down in southern United Arab Emirates, down in Ruwais, near the Qatari, Saudi, Emirati border. Here, I will show you what that looks like here in a moment. I have the map. Here we are on Google Earth. And as we zoom in to the United Arab Emirates here, you will see Abu Dhabi is here. I'm going to give you a bigger view out so that you can see Dubai. I don't know why I rotated it. But here's Dubai over here. Voila. Strait of
That's
Hormuz is here.
mm-hmm.
Abu Dhabi is here, second largest city of El Ain, with third largest city is there. And down here is where the Baraka nuclear power plant is. And here's the worst part: closer to Doha than it is Abu Dhabi. So anything bad happens there, the prevailing winds are going to bring it this way, towards Oman, over Oman. It could get very, very dicey. Let me just put it that way. Let's tilt all the way back to north. But the Baraka nuclear power plant, which I've been talking about for some time, this morning or late yesterday, early morning, Dubai, Abu Dhabi time, It was hit by a drone. Now, it did not hit the nuclear reactors themselves. And you're going to go, oh, that's awesome. It didn't hit the nuclear reactors. What do we have to worry about? Well, I'm going to explain a little bit about nuclear power to you. Starting back in high school, when I was growing up in Philadelphia, I was the vice president of the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia for high school students. And I learned a lot about nuclear power plants because Philadelphia Electric Company was getting ready to build a new nuclear power plant outside of the city. And this was just after 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant started melting down. Nuclear power plants are made up of several components, and the key components are one, the reactor core, which is inside here. This is the highly enriched uranium that's that generates an enormous amount of heat. That heat is surrounded by a cooling system. The cooling system, which in many of them are not, it's definitely not water. It's normally a liquid metal like sulfur and uh, um, other types of liquid metal, which absorb the heat from the fission chain, takes that heat and circulates it away from the main core, right? In these areas back here. That hot molten metal then generates heat, which is siphoned off and powers steam plants where they will have a water circulation core going around it, and that boiling metal will heat boiling water and make superheated steam back here. And you'll see these things. These are cooling towers. I don't know if you can see that
We
to the
can't
right.
see them.
Cooling towers back off to the side. And that will convert that heat into either working steam, which will generate a turbine, which then in turn makes power, electrical power, right? Then the cooling towers will bleed off the heat from the steam that's in excess. Most days now, we try to make it a closed loop circuit so that you are constantly using all the heat to generate power. When I was on nuclear submarines, the same thing happens, only it's a reactor core that's a couple of 100 feet, not even a couple of 100 feet. That's in a tiny system that generates power that turns the propeller and makes fresh water on a ship, right? All the water we drink on a ship, even if it's reclaimed from urinal, right? It's actually steam that is recycled and it drips in its purest form of water, right? It is pure H2O. So it's a closed loop circuit. So is this, but this reactor, she make of the generation, boss. This reactor, that reactor, that reactor. There's still construction, it looks like, down here at number 4. All of that is connected to a electrical substation, which brings that electricity out into these towers. Those towers bring energy to you. But Malcolm, what if there's trouble? What if there's an emergency? What if you have to scram the reactor? That's the technical term that we have, right? What we do is we drop a metal material into the reactor that will shut down the nuclear fusion in the reactor, and the reactor will go warm or cold, right? Generally, you don't want it cold. It takes a long time to restart. But if it's an emergency, bombs blow up, the containment building gets hit, boom, you scram the reactor, right? Drop those fuel rods down inside it, and they absorb the radioactive material in the reactions, stops, it goes cold. Woo, that would be an awesome thing to make sure shit doesn't happen bad, right? Just to be sure that most of you understand what could happen if this were to go bad, I'm going to remind you guys of something that occurred while I was living in Abu Dhabi, which was the tsunami from the earthquake that set off the Fukushima nuclear reactors in Japan. Now, for those of
Oh,
you who may not remember that, Okay, the Fukushima nuclear reactors, four of them, was it four or six of them? I believe it was six of them. The Fukushima reactors could not scram, right? That meant that the earthquake stopped the systems that allowed them to shut down. Yeah, this I watched this from Abu Dhabi, and it was everything I was ever taught that is bad about nuclear power plants. When they cannot shut down, when a reactor cannot scram, that heat starts to melt everything, including the nuclear control rods that cool the reactor, and then the reactor core literally melts down on itself into a molten blob of radioactive uranium and other metals. It's bad. And then when it melts, it burns through the concrete floor and all the metal works, and it melts to the bottom of the reactor and it will burn through concrete. Chernobyl was an explosion. It was an explosion just like this, but Chernobyl wasn't as bad as Fukushima because Fukushima it exploded four nuclear reactors, one after another, like pops, corks popping out of a champagne bottle. Just to remind all of you, here is 2011 Fukushima nuclear power plants doing bad things. And the bad things that was happening
Tokyo Electric Power Company's Fukushima Daiichi
was that they were melting down.
A powerful earthquake triggered tsunami that swept through the facility.
This
Meltdowns, hydrogen explosions, and the massive release of radioactive materials.
So what happened, as they say, when it melts down and it hits the concrete and it goes through the concrete and hits the water table, it's so hot, it separates hydrogen and oxygen. I mean, hydrogen, yeah, H2O, right? It separates hydrogen particles and it creates a hydrogen bubble, an excess of hydrogen. And that hydrogen goes up. And what happens is it goes up and it creates so much pressure that it will literally explode the top of the concrete nuclear reactor like a cork in a champagne bottle. And at Fukushima, it didn't happen once, it happened 4 times in a row. I was terrified. I'm going to tell you guys straight up. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm watching a nightmare happen over and over. Let's see it again because it's bad. Boom!
Powerful earthquake triggered tsunami that swept through the facility that caused meltdowns, hydrogen explosions, and the massive release of radioactive materials into the environment.
Yeah, like all of that part of it.
大変らしいので、3号機、多分水上などで爆発で今起こりました。
What are you fucking shitting me in Japanese? Here goes another one.
Only news organizations have filmed the explosion of Unit 3. 9.5 years later, what exactly happened inside the reactor remains a mystery.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? It should all remain a mystery.
Earlier this week,
We should never be seeing this. Now, Malcolm, what is this long roundabout discussion here for? Why are we having this talk about Fukushima nuclear reactor? You just showed us the Baraka nuclear power plant in Abu Dhabi. Did it have a meltdown? Did it blow up? No, it did not, ladies and gentlemen. It didn't at all. What happened was, for some strange reason, to send a message to the United Arab Emirates, the Iranians fired a drone at this power plant. Okay, no problem. Got shot down, right? Hold on, Wajeeh. It's going to get bad here in a moment. I'm going to explain to you what happened. It hit an electrical diesel generator outside of the nuclear core campus. Right? Doesn't sound bad, right? You can fix that, correct? Here's the problem. Remember those nuclear control rods that I talked to you about that scram the reactor and shut it down so that it doesn't have 4 Fukushimas in a row? Well, when the a power plant is attacked, right? They bring the reactor electricity offline so that it doesn't have trouble. The backup unit for this, should it get attacked and the electricity goes offline, is a diesel generator that would be off to the side here that operates the scramming materials to shut down the reactor. If that diesel generator is blown up or offline, you cannot scram the control rods and you cannot keep circulating the water to keep this cool. So guess what happens? Fukushima is what happens. So the Iranians were sending the Emiratis a message. We know we're not going to attack your reactors. That would be bad. But we blow up your fucking control rod backup diesel generator in the next war. Before it even happens, we just damaged it. So maybe a week you can get that thing back online. You'll put 1,000 workers on top of it. But we just want to let you know, if any fuckery happens here in the next week, we will hit this power plant and we will Fukushima your ass. That's what that drone hitting the diesel generator, the backup emergency power generator, signified. Now, are you a little more frightened than when I began there, Wajeeh?
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit more frightened. But I still agree with you that this was a message from Iran. Before I did not know that that diesel plant was the backup generator. All I knew was that that generator was not immediately important right this second for the nuclear plant. But what I know for a fact is Iran has showed us capability of precision targeting during this war. And if they wanted to hit the actual nuclear plant or they wanted to hit the nuclear reactor, they could have easily done
They
that.
could have. It hit a power plant on the campus.
Exactly. That's 100%. So when they are doing something like this, they're not only showing power, they're only sending a message. They're letting them know, like, look, we not only know our business about how to run a nuclear plant, we know how to we know how to precisely fuck up your nuclear system so you guys can suffer for a very long time. And suffering from nuclear disaster means you have nuclear waste going to the pristine waters. That you have nuclear waste going into the people.
It would take a lot to damage that power plant enough for that to happen, right? Every time I hear about emergencies of nuclear power plants, the first thing that I learned, because, I had to get signed off on, we have backup generators on submarines, right? We ain't stupid. The first thing I ask is, where are the diesel generators? Where are the backups? Right? You hit a backup, you are sending a serious ass message. The next one's coming for your reactor core. And it's not going to be one drone, it's going to be 500, right? 500 concentrated into one area. And we may not get the core, but we can get your coolant system. We can decimate your ability to drop the control rods. We can make it absolutely horrific for all of you. So,
yeah, agree.
But I just want to point that out. I just want to see the cadmium, boron, or hafnium. Those are the materials that the control rods are made of. This is the equivalent of an IRGC boat going up to a ship, right? Like a liquid natural gas carrier, which would explode like an atomic bomb. And instead of shooting everything, they go right off to the back of the ship and they blow holes in the lifeboat. Right? It'd be like them shooting the lifeboat. The message is, the next time we come, there's no surviving this for you. You don't have a lifeboat now. That's what that generator was. So I got very, let me rephrase that. I didn't get scared. I got very concerned when I heard that they hit a diesel generator outside of the reactor. I was like, oh, that is a message. I'm shooting your lifeboats now. The next one, I'm going to blow you up. So bad all the way around. Okay. Oof. Are there nuclear talks going on? We have to wrap up here relatively quickly. I have a 10 o'clock. Are there nuclear talks going on? No, not really. Here are the demands we are now hearing the Americans are asking for. Tell me if any of these are reasonable, Wajeeh. Number one, Iran must transfer all 400 kilograms.
The new hypothesis.
Sorry. Of uranium.
韓国の水素爆発は、基本的な、
Japanese
爆発というよりは、2段階以上の、複数段階の事象だったので。
See, that reactor is still talking to me about blowing up in Japanese. The Americans are asking for the Iranians to transfer 400 of the 450 kilograms of radioactive material to they must, ready? Surrender it to the United States directly. And you know why they want to do that? Because when Obama got the deal done, it was 200 tons of yellow cake and other materials, you know?
No, that's very unreasonable for the Iranians. No, they're not going to accept that. Absolutely not.
Not happening. Number two, there will be no compensation for damage in the war. Number three, Iran can only operate the Bushehr nuclear power plant under the control of the Russians. Number four, there will be no release of any sanctioned Russian assets. And you know what Trump's going to do? He's going to say, we're seizing that. It now belongs to the United States. It goes to the Board of Peace or whatever it is. Number five, there will be no guarantee of a future ceasefire, which means they want the right to attack Iran at any time.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's the Trump platform. Here's the Iranian platform. Full ceasefire, right? A full ceasefire leading to an end of the war. All sanctions will be lifted and monies returned to Iran. Return of all Iranian assets that is in other countries too. All that $20 billion that they want. They want compensation for the damage done to the country. And then Iran will recognize this. They will recognize the full sovereignty of Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. So bottom line is, we are not going to see this war end. You guys are going to be following me on day 120. No question asked, right? That's just 90 more days, 30 more days after this. This war is not ending. We're not even close to this. Trump now I suspect, has been convinced by Netanyahu that showing big muscles and strength to the Iranians, they'll fold.
What do you think? This is my question to you. Now that you and I have been talking, and we said this many times, that we think this war is escalating. And you mentioned earlier, if we would escalate more to win this war, we would have to invade or put troops on the ground. Could you show us what would that look like, or what you would do if you would put troops on the ground and on Iranian?
Wajeeh, we talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Go read my 3 Substacks of putting troops on the ground. They're talking the exact same thing again. Strait of Hormuz. They're talking about landing in Strait of Hormuz, landing on Kaarsbo Island, and landing in Iran to seize nuclear materials. That the Israelis are been saying that for the last week. They want those nuclear power plants seized by U.S. ground forces. We'd be on the ground for months, getting killed by the thousands.
For a second, I thought they might have a new plan, or they might have a new target.
You and your common sense. You got to stop bringing that to this talk. No, they're crazy. And Netanyahu is constantly pushing. We played that video last week, pushing for us to land. He loves the 3,000 parachutist idea. Loves it. And he wants us to do it. And here's the kicker. He has not committed Israeli troops to doing it.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's just stupid. We have already explored all these three options, and we have explained why they're all stupid options.
Like somebody said here, it'll be a fucking meat grinder.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Well,
For a second, I
they are
genuinely
talking about
genuinely thought there might be a new plan.
Nope, no new plan. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is Ethiopia and Eritrea. Ethiopia, I'm going to show you this on a map. This is important. That's why I'm drinking from my Ethiopian airline cup today on Google Earth. On the Horn of Africa, which somehow has gotten spun around. Why am I not oriented to geographic north? Okay, got it. Tilt, not tilt. Heading. There we go. There you go. For those of you who have not been to Ethiopia, it's a great country. Oh my God, the food is so good. I love Ethiopian food. Ethiopia is here. Where'd my pointer go? South. Oh, I'm showing my face, not you on the map. All right. South of Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia. Down a little lower. There you go. Ethiopia, it's west of Somalia. That's Somalia. That's Somaliland. This is Djibouti. And up here is a section that liberated themselves from Ethiopia called Eritrea, right? Eritrea is its own nation. Ethiopia and Egypt have been involved in a beef that has gone on for the last 2 or 3 years because the Ethiopians built a massive dam at the headwaters of the Nile. And this dam, I think it's called the Grand Ethiopian Dam, is cutting off the flow of water into the Nile and the Nile River Valley. A year ago, I was in Egypt down here at Abu Simbel, which is way at the bottom of Ethiopia. This is Lake Nasser. Here, this is a false lake. It is a reservoir that the Egyptians built in order to maintain a flow of water further up in Aswan. See, it says Lake Nasser. In Aswan, here, this spot is where the Great Aswan Dam is. That dam provides power to most of southern and central Egypt. All right. All that water that you see here, that's fake. That's false. That did not exist until the 1960s when the Egyptians and the Russians built the Great Aswan Dam. And in fact, the ruins at Abu Simbel down here, that's those giant sitting pharaohs, had to be cut up and lifted, I believe, 150 meters, that's 450 feet, to a higher plateau and elevation so that they wouldn't be drowned by the lake. Now, Malcolm, this is an awesome story. I would love to get down to Abu Simbel. Don't waste your time. It's like fucking Disneyland there. Go to Aswan. But Lake Nasser, which was created from all of this, is also where Egypt stores all its water, right? The dam built in Ethiopia is cutting off the water to Egypt. And a year and a half ago, Egypt was talking about going to war with Ethiopia and bombing that goddamn dam, right? They were talking about flying over Sudan with 100 aircraft, doing the full Israeli thing on that dam. But Egypt decided to hurt them in a more clever way. They have made allies with the nation of Eritrea. And here's Eritrea here, going all the way across the top there. Eritrea, until a decade ago, was part of Ethiopia. And they had a civil war that went on for decades. And they fought each other, and finally they won their freedom. Along with that came Ethiopia's only access to the ocean, which was the port of Assab, which is right here. See that? That's Assab port. The Eritreans hate the Ethiopians with a white-hot passion, all right? And the Ethiopians have been playing nice to them so that they can keep getting access to Assab port, or they will be cut off from everything, all of the concrete and stuff that came through there. It ain't coming through Somalia, right? Somalia, bad, dysfunctional, nothing's happening there. It was coming through Djibouti also, that tiny little nation state that you see there that
Mhm.
borders the Bab el-Mandab waterway, right? That little place with the three red things, that's Djibouti, a French protectorate. This is Eritrea, that's the port of Assab. Now, in order to screw them, the Egyptians said, hey, we're not going to go to war with them. This week, the Egyptians entered into final talks to buy and take control of the port of Assab from the Eritreans. And you know, the
Smart.
Egyptians are going to say, not one thing can be delivered to Ethiopia from there. And just to make sure that it's painful, they also got the rights to a port here in Djibouti, right? Port called Dorale in Djibouti, a massive port that they are building that will also cut Ethiopia off from any material coming from the known world, right? Ethiopia will have zero access to water. And that means they're going to have to do one of two things. One, go to war with Eritrea, invade Djibouti, or have to go up here and deal with Somaliland, right? And Somaliland has this tiny port here, boop, 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 or have to deal with the Somali pirates and create a pathway across Somalia to a port like Berbera to get access to the sea. This is going to lead to war. Some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form, it's going to war. And the Ethiopians hate the Eritreans so much, I wouldn't be surprised to see if this leads to war on the East African Peninsula. Now, they would reinvade, take Assab, hold it, kill everybody, and tell the Egyptians to go after themselves. But, Malcolm, wouldn't the Egyptians intervene on the side of Eritrea? If they're going to put a port in there, there will be air bases in there very soon. And the Egyptian Air Force is very advanced. Very advanced. Woo! That's a lot.
Well,
I'm
not only
better than
that,
nuclear power plants, though. What?
not only that. So Egypt is dependent on their farming land, and their farming land is solely dependent on the Nile River. And the Nile River would be cut off from Ethiopia if Ethiopia continues to keep their dam. Most of the exports that happen from Egypt, including Egyptian cotton, including the fruits and vegetables that the West gets during the summer, during
Yeah.
the winter time, where they can't get it during the winter time. We Egyptians make it during the winter, and they send it to us here in the United States. For example, strawberries in the winter in the United States come from Egypt. What would happen that all of those exports would end? Egypt has gotten and sat down regarding talks about these dams with Ethiopia, and they kind of made. There was a very funny video where the Assisi was on national television with the Ethiopian president, and he made him swear in Arabic that they wouldn't shut the water on the Egyptians, and he sweared in Arabic that he wouldn't cut the water on the Egyptians. So
Yeah.
this has history. This is not coming out of a vacuum. The
Right.
war could happen, and the water is very important to
Right.
these countries, as important as oil.
I got you. I got to talk quickly about the explosion at the Beit Shemesh rocket test bed center in Israel, because I only have 3 minutes. We have to go. There was an explosion at an Israeli rocket test bed center, a place called Beit Shemesh Missile Test Range. It went boom. That's near Siderat Misha in Israel. It was not a nuclear weapon. It was an explosion. Clearly, now, if you've ever seen these SpaceX explosions happen, it's sort of like that. This is where they test the rocket boosters for the Arrow and ballistic missiles. They were obviously firing one off, and it fired off bad. So here you go. So that's one picture, and there's another view of this facility. But it's not a nuclear test site. It has nuclear weapons are stored near it for the Jericho ballistic missiles, but this happened on a test bed, and they actually have pictures. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Jeszcze mam basit твои выношли. Yo, Maze. So there you go. So it was just not a nuclear, it was a non-nuclear material rocket engine that went off at nighttime. That's when they did it. And it blowed it up, solid rockets. All right, that's it for today. I know several of you have questions. I'm going to answer those questions manually on the Substack, only because I've been asked to talk about this attack. I seem to have been the guy that turned Mario Nawafal. He didn't even know there was a nuclear power plant in the United Arab Emirates. And I was like, yeah. And he got very concerned very quickly. So now he wants me to talk about it. And we're going to talk about it. Some quick questions. Somebody had all of these, I think we answered today. Do mines still play a significant role? Yes, they do. There's nothing here that needs to be. Have any additional Lego videos come out? Yes, so many I can't watch them. There's like 6 videos. I don't have time for it. All right. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching malcolmnance.substack.com. I would like to ask you to do a personal favor. Everybody thinks the war is over. Please, if you have a chance, become a paid subscriber to the Black Man Spy podcast. It's $7 a month. Just go there, hit subscribe, hit paid subscribe, and it'll automatically subscribe you. 2 clicks, and you can become a paid subscriber, and you can engage in the chat and the private events that we're going to have. I have a private event coming up. I will announce it where I'm in London, and I go through some fabulous spy places in London. And same thing for Wajeeh. Follow him. All you got to do is hit the rondelle up top and hit follow Wajeeh Lion at substack.com. Thank you guys for coming. I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully we're not back at war, and have a good time. All right. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks for having me. See you tomorrow.